Hey everyone, this is Talkative Carl back again for another movie spoiler review. And this week is going to be very Captain Marvel heavy because today I'm going to be covering the first Captain Marvel Carol Danvers movie. Then a few minutes after, I'll be covering Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel comic, her origin. I've been sitting on this for a few months now. But then this coming Saturday, I'll be covering The Marvels. Tomorrow I'll go see the movie, but I'm going to wait until Saturday to do my full spoiler review of that. So yeah, this week is going to be very Captain Marvel heavy reviews. But before we get into it, please like and subscribe, share this with your friends, leave a comment below if you're watching this on YouTube. Follow me on links in the description below, youtube.com/talkativecarl, Twitch, Twitter, Patreon, Instagram, and yeah, and let me know what you think of the character of each of the Marvels, like Carol Danvers, Kamala Khan, and Monica Rambeau, aka how I call her, Monica First Blood, which I'm shocked that nobody ever made that freaking joke. It's literally right there in her name. If I was one of the writers, I'd be like, somebody, especially somebody like Carol Danvers, who grew up in the 80s, would have seen First Blood, and you got a friend whose last name is Rambeau, not spelled the same way, but pronounced the same way. It's like, called her Monica First Blood. Maria First Blood, something like that. It's like really right there. Oh. Anyway, so this movie is directed by Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, starring Brie Larson as Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, Sam Jackson as Nick Fury, Ben Mendelsohn as Talos, Djimon Hounsou as Korath, Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser, Lashana Lynch as Maria Rambeau, Gemma Chan as Minerva, Annette Bening as the Supreme Intelligence, also as Marvel, and Dr. Wendy Lawson, Clark Gregg as Phil Coulson, and Jude Law as Jan Rog. Sorry, had to take a few things. Now, before we really get into my summary of the story, I just want to cut to the chase because not many people care for this movie. Now, this would be like a second or third time, I'm pretty sure the third time, me seeing this film since its release in the theater. And I actually, cause some people don't care for this movie, I actually dig this movie. And I dig the actress Brie Larson. And of course, this movie, I think there's a combination of things. One, which is like a very rare occasion, DC already released the first Wonder Woman movie, which did gangbusters in terms of like the first, because Wonder Woman is the first female superhero. And of course, in my opinion, it's only right that, DC probably got to it first in terms of big hitters. That there's a few big hitters that they have under their belt. Let them have this one. But uh the Marvel obviously want to have their, even though they have like cool female characters since yeah, well, since first Iron Man 1 with uh uh Pepper Potts, but arguably the first kind of like superhero would be Natasha Romanoff in Iron Man 2. Hey, Scottish fly fishing. Now, so Marvel needed to decide, okay, who's gonna be our like female headliner, and it's like it's only right that the company has the one character with the namesake of the company. Uh, oh, thought it was recorded. Oh, yeah, it's live. Yeah, so obviously it only makes sense you go with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel, and Captain Marvel. Like, I gotta be honest, it wasn't until this movie was first kind of like announced. Put my shoe on my head. That required me to get up and I want to put my shoe on my head. I was trying to cover some recordings. Uh, uh, what I was saying. Well, when this was first announced as like their next big thing in between Infinity War and Endgame, I scarcely was reading any kind of Captain Marvel stories in the comics. And but because I know a fair bit of her, because she went through a whole bunch of namesakes through her superhero career. She went by Warbird as I was growing up and reading comics in like the late 90s into 2000s. She was a Warbird wearing this black leotard thing with thigh-high boots and the lightning bolt symbol across her chest, which Kamala Khan adopted for her costume. And of course, she was also known as Binary in the 80s. And then we kind of just settled on Captain Marvel. Also, fun fact, she also has a bit of a, or at least in the comics, have a, suffers from alcoholism, and her and Tony go to AA meetings and stuff like that. So it's like the last time I've seen that brought up in the comics was during the whole Civil War II event, which was like what, 2014, 2015, something like that. And yeah, so I haven't seen that brought up since, but like I said, I haven't read too much of Captain Marvel like that. Zeus. Oh, hey. And so here's another thing that where this movie kind of had working against it is the fact that Brie Larson, it's been years, but Brie Larson said some stuff, not really scathing or anything like that, but just like her views on, why she's a feminist, and it was poorly worded, but her heart was in the right place kind of situation where people kind of took it the wrong way, where it's like it's too many people that is not just a straight white male that don't normally get a seat at the table. She kind of clarified that kind of stuff in a different kind of interview where it's like, we just want to add seats to the table, not take anyone away. No, it's not AI generated. I don't mess with that, and I don't agree with that. I do not like AI generated crap. Uh, uh, but yeah, because since I don't know, people kind of pig headed. I'm not like right winged or far left winged thing. I'm pretty like, you know, very moderate, you know, kind of like, you know, Fexley Bear, you know, just like I see, you know, both sides of the situation, at least whatever, you know, you can actually make an argument for. And sometimes things are black and white, and sometimes you can make an argument in a gray area. Brie Larson, you know, because of what she said at some kind of award show years ago, uh, people kind of, you know, left some kind of mark on her. And because of that, when this movie came out, people started hating on it and hating on the character of Carol Danvers, which, you know, it was really unwarranted because, I mean, and it's not because you can say, you know, some fringe people out there in the world, you know, are like just truly misogynistic. It's only like a fringe group of male in the male population that actually think that evil way, but it's not the whole scope of men, because you know, because you know they, you know, there's a few butthurt dudes out there who probably are the loudest, you know, spout their crap, saying like, oh, you know, it's a female-led thing, or it's woke, or it's just too feminist. They probably didn't like, you know, what Brie Larson said. More than likely, they took it, you know, too far with it, and so now they, you know, they didn't take any kind of nuances and separate between the actor's feelings and her performance in the thing. It's all dumb. I don't think Brie Larson deserved all that hate. She's a very fine actress. Besides this, I think the only other performance I've seen her in was in that Scott Pilgrim movie. That's the only other time I actually seen Brie Larson in anything else that I can remember. And it's a shame because she's a great actress, and like when you look in this film, and people who aren't, I really hate using the word misogynist because I think that's been thrown around way too often, and people don't know what it freaking means. But it's a very fringe group of small percentage of men who actually is misogynistic. Count them out. They don't, you know, they don't even count in this kind of discussion if they don't have any nuances of it. But other people who don't think like that, their opinion when seeing this movie is like, oh, she's kind of boring. And once I go through this, I will go through the story in a minute. But in my interpretation of going through this, you know, I've seen this movie at least 3 times since the theater when it came out. And every time, I never got the sense of her being boring. Keep in mind, she is an actor and she's being directed in a particular way, and there's a point to it. Now, you may not agree with it, but I see, like, yeah, you know, she's being directed to be like, kind of like a blank slate. But there are plenty of other blank slate type of male characters that, you know, more often than not can do well. You know, some people point out like Neo, Keanu Reeves in the first Matrix movie, how like he was gonna put complete blank slate, but we grew to love that character. And I see, because females, there's plenty of other female-led, you know, films. Doesn't even need to be superhero stuff, but there's plenty of other female-led characters that people, young girls can look up to. Captain Marvel, in my opinion, being one of them. You know, oh, it's like, oh, she's too overpowered. They say the same thing about Superman. That is the freaking point. Yes, she's massively powerful. That is the point. Her power set, you know, warrants her to be up there like a cosmic level powerhouse akin to Thor. Arguably, maybe slightly more. But it's just, you know, people complained about it, you know, when you see her in Endgame and just wreck shop. And to this day, I love the fact that when she just like hanging with Thanos, and knowing that, because when he tried to headbutt her and she just unfazed, I freaking love that. And all that little scathing remarks about Brie Larson and the character of Captain Marvel went out the window at that moment. Because I still remember to this day in the theater, people cheering when she just stared down this dude while holding his gauntlet back, and he looked stunned, like he tried to headbutt her, and she is unfazed, and she just stared him down, and she's just like bashing. It's like, it's so dope. And then, you know, that's another thing. I'll cover the Avengers films possibly next year. I don't quote me on this right now. This is a full spoilers thing, mind you, for Captain Marvel, not the other Avengers film, but I'm pretty sure you should have seen it a long time ago. But this whole scene with Endgame, when, like, you know, it's like, where all these girls come from, just to have that little girl power movement. I didn't mind that, because I think after 10 years up to this point, I think they deserve a cheesy moment like that. And yeah, sure, Captain Marvel can just blitz a bunch of Thanos' army, but she doesn't have to, because she has backup, pretty much like clearing the way so she can just hyper focus on one thing at a time. I'm pretty sure once I get to all the Avengers films, including Endgame, I'll probably bring it up then too. I don't want to bring it up now. You know, I like Brie Larson as an actress. I don't think what she said was so super scathing. The fact that she making a point about, like, you know, people of marginalized communities, whereas people of color, women, whatever, deserve a seat at the table. You ain't getting nothing taken away, but there's, you know, needs to be equal footing. Now, not everything's gonna be all the way equal, and there's gonna be some advantages to one. You know, everybody has their own set of advantages and disadvantages in the grand scheme of life, but we are trying to be a little bit more mindful of giving everybody a fair shake, come what may. But I just want to bring it up right now, because it's just like, you know, every time we go back to this movie, you know, because it was a whole thing when this movie came out, and it still made money, but all that scathing stuff behind it, all because of Brie Larson's take that she had, it was just like unwarranted, and it was unfair to the actress. But you deal with a lot of shitheads from time to time, and we all got to share this globe with shitheads sometimes, and we're gonna have to move her around all that. But I love Brie Larson in this. She's a fine actress. I agree, she's, you know, pretty fun. Although some YouTubers got a little annoyed when she tried to make her own YouTube channel and kind of took up like a good. I don't know if she even still doing that. Matter of fact, I never followed Brie Larson's YouTube channel, but given the fact that she is an actress, a high A-list actress, I'm pretty sure she's a little bit busy. You know, depending on like what projects she's working on at the moment. But there's a good period of time when she is just like owning the YouTube space, and, you know, a lot of YouTubers got kind of annoyed by that. It was a whole moment. I still remember that. But that kind of add fuel to the hate fire. Not every YouTuber was hating on her, but it's like it didn't help matters none for, you know, basically giving like those small group of haters too much ammo. But, you know, it's a free country. You know, Brie Larson want to make a YouTube channel, you know, it's her business. But anyway, on to the movie. I just want to get that crap out the way, you know, because I didn't want to just have that lingering in my mind. Anyway, so we open up with Captain Marvel, here called Vers, on the planet of Hala, which is the home world of the Kree Empire. And just so you know, the Kree Empire are an alien race that is responsible of the creation of the Inhumans and the Terrigen Mist a long time ago, where they, you know, messed around, or at least in the comics, I'm pretty sure, because I don't know, it's a combination of Celestials too. because Celestials, uh, God, I can't remember which came first, because I know that Kree Empire has something to do with the creation of the Inhumans, because they was experimenting on certain our early man era. They experimented on a few of them, which, you know, generations down the line held a genetic thing where once exposed to the Terrigen Mist, produce inhuman genes, which is basically like an off-brand mutants. Anyway, so and the Kree is led by this Supreme Intelligence, which in the comics is this green blob octopus thing with a giant face. And in the comics, they are at war with the Skrull Empire. They're always like a constant war between these two races. But, you know, they do a little subversion of, you know, which to this day, I argue was a cool changing, you know, something what, because we walked in expecting one thing with the, like how things gonna be dealing with the Kree and Skrulls, like, oh, these two, because Skrulls are often played as bad guys, and same way with the Kree to a certain extent. So Carol is among this Kree squadron led by Julad's character Yon-Rogg. And she having nightmares of this old lady. She doesn't know what's going on. And so she, in order to try to focus, she fights and trains with Yon-Rogg, who's kind of like her, who is our captain. And he's pretty much trying to tell her, like, you know, keep everything under control, keep your emotions in check. Because, I mean, you can look at it as kind of gaslighting or whatever, which will come into play later on. But the way I also take it, you can look at it in a different way, where it's like, you know, any soldier would probably agree. I don't know, but I would argue they might agree that it doesn't even have to be like a military personnel, like, you know, martial arts training or whatever. You gotta be able to control your emotions, like your anger. You keep your anger in check. Otherwise, if it just goes wild, you get burnt and everything around you in a way. Because I argue that's like a sensible teaching, even though it's used in a different way to essentially do control, get her under control. But I don't think it's like total malice behind it. Not total malice, maybe like 50%. So they get instructed to after, you know, talking with the Supreme Intelligence, get the go-ahead to go on this mission with Yon-Rogg and the other troops to rescue this spy of theirs on this planet, where it's supposed to be Skrulls hiding there. And given the fact that the Skrulls are able to shapeshift, they have to, you know, be careful not to alert to their presence. So they go to the planet. They immediately get ambushed by Skrulls, and Carol gets kidnapped. And so you meet Talos, who's the main person they're, you know, also looking for to stop, because he's the leader of this, you know, rebel Skrulls. So Talos and his men are digging into the memories of Kara Danvers, which really kind of, forcing, because it's not these nightmares, these are memories that have been suppressed. And so they kind of like bring it to the forefront now. They're looking for somebody specific, which turns out to be an old lady who mirrors who the Supreme Intelligence mirrors, to be able to converse with Carol. Because the Supreme Intelligence, I don't know why they didn't go with like the comics' green blob octopus thing, but it's like be able to, show. It's kind of like, in certain movies where, religious type of films where like, God speak to a character, they come into a form, God comes to a form of whoever is like, comfortable to the person, that kind of thing, so that way they don't trip out on the actual appearance kind of situation. So they realize, oh, they're looking for this doctor, Dr. Wendy Lawson. So she eventually breaks out, and while she's taking on everybody, which, by the way, when she gets captured, she gets like stunned, like a taser type weapon. Here, other Kree is sitting there with these stun batons, and she does not get taken out. And it's like, that was a bit inconsistent. Maybe the only reason I can rationalize it is maybe because earlier she was caught unaware, so she wasn't, her defenses weren't up like that. Here she's in battle mode and survival mode, so like she powered up at this point. So it's not really like, affecting her as much. But it's a cool sequence where you see, like, yeah, she's a powerhouse. She can, despite her hands being cuffed, she's able to, like, really, beat some ass still. So she gets on a escape pod, which, crash lands on Earth. This is where Talos was heading, realizing, oh, Lawson's last known location was on Earth. And it currently right now is like 1995, which I want to take the moment right here to mention that there's a few moments where you hear some cool 90s music, classic 90s music, but the Guardians of the Galaxy films are heavy with like 80s musical crap. And it's like, it's one thing like I was kind of annoyed by when I went to go see this in the theater. It's like, I expected tons of 90s music, because it's going to be set during the 90s. It's a period kind of movie in a way. And it's like, I don't know, I wanted to be inundated with some classic 90s R&B, or, some, rock, 90s, rock or pop songs, like we only get like a few of those. But the first Guardians of the Galaxy, you know how many songs we got like thrown at us? I was like, man, come on. And it's like, what a perfect time to like roll out your, like a 90s mixtape. Listen to some Britney Spears, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, Usher, was Kurt Cobain. Yeah, Kurt Cobain was in the 90s. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's, Vanilla Ice, at least. Come on. I mean, of course, you got a bit of TLC, but throw in some Aaliyah. But anyway, she drops down to a Blockbuster, which, man, I miss Blockbuster. That was like a fun hangout spot, Blockbuster. So she speaks to like a security officer and asks like, where are your communications depot or whatever, and you see like him directing her to like a Radio Shack. And here it's like you really gotta like give a movie a little bit of leeway. But the fact that you cobble together some Game Boy and other electronics along with a payphone in order to hook up to your communicator in order to get out get your communications out to ROG to communicate your location, so that way you can get some assistance while you're dealing with this Skrulls. Even though she was told to, like, you know, stand by and wait for them, so that way they can assess to take care of the Skrulls. And of course, the Skrulls are already on Earth. They shapeshift so they can go after this doctor. That's where the shield agents are called, and you see young Nick Fury and Phil Coulson. Now, I want to make a point here, which I agree with a lot of people's point to this, is that sure, the de-aging on Sam Jackson is decent, but you can't de-age his movements, because at this point in time he was like 70 or 71 years old, and he moves like it, because doing this that kind of thing, and it's like, oh god, it's not I did my review on the Indiana Jones films around like Father's Day month, and the last movie that me and my brothers took our father to see, because he's a fan of Harrison Ford, it's like, wow, it's like, it is kind of depressing in a way, even though I think Sam Jackson still can move a bit. You know, Harrison Ford, it was just depressing to watch, man. It is like, oh god, it's just like just sad to see. And it's like, you know, but you can like work around him having to move all that much. But the fact that we have to see him try to trot along with Carol when the moment needs for them to probably run and get away is just like all too glaring. Anyway, he meets up with her, and she establishes that she is an officer too, just like them. But the fact that she doesn't have time to explain, because she tries to tell him like, yo, I'm here looking for some Skrulls, even though they don't know what the heck that those are. But the fact that like she tried to explain to him, but like, hey, I'm not, you know, I can't waste time trying to explain to you guys. But then one Kree sniper tried to stun her. She pushes Fury out the way while she chases those guys, chases that sniper down. And then Nick and Coulson go in the car, try to chase both of them down. So you get this cool, you know, moment on a train set, on the train, where you see, because it's around the time when, because the movie technically opens with a montage of Stan Lee cameos throughout the MCU, and it'll be around time when he passed away. So he already shot the shots that he took up to the point of Endgame, and I'm pretty sure it was him in Captain Marvel, but it was like he was reading like a Mallrats script around this time, which is a cool, fun moment. But it was just a nice little. I still remember in the theater, people was like, "Oh," it was like, because it was very recent that he passed, and it's like you just see him just smiles back, and you know Carol, and she just smiles at him. It's just like a nice little moment. It's like, we miss you, Stan. So, and this was in the trailer because it's kind of wild, but I don't know how. You can guess. No, I know how, because I'm about to say like, but she gets on board on the train, passing by this old lady, and she notices that same old lady still on the bus, even though she just left. So, right in front of a train full of people, Carol just slugs, not once, but twice, this old lady. And everybody's just like dogpiling on this woman. That's like, oh my God, you just hit this old lady. What the heck is wrong with you? And giving the Skrull enough time, and she doesn't bother to explain. She just like, forces them back so she can chase after this criminal. And I was just like, man, because there was so many memes I remember of this little moment from the trailer, because everybody knew that, oh, it's clearly like a Skrull in disguise. But the fact that like she didn't take some kind of awareness of her surroundings, the fact that she's appeared as like a fragile old lady, and it's like you just outwardly slug this person and you don't think people are not going to just freak the heck out. But she's like, no, I got a mission. Like, I ain't getting fooled by I'm taking you in because I ain't fooled by your crap. And it's like all these bystanders don't mean nothing to me. I'm bringing you in. I'm an officer. So while chasing him down in the car, Fury gets a call from Phil. It's like, hey, like, where'd y'all go? Like, I'm still back at the Blockbuster, realizing that, oh my God, Carol's right. This ain't Cole, this is a Skrull. So Fury crashes his car, killing this Skrull imposter, and he calls in some assistance while Carol loses track of the Skrull she was chasing after. So these two, after Talos, disguised as one of Fury's bosses, as he was going over the autopsy of the Skrull, he was told to follow and monitor Carol. So these two end up meeting up at this bar where Carol starts to give memories of her old life, flashes of being in this bar after she gets some information off the computer she was trying to gather up because her communications and electronics are kind of busted. And she points out, after testing Fury to see if he's not like a Skrull, she points out that they kind of like, reworked in the Secret Invasion show, where Skrulls cannot mimic old memories. They only can mimic up to the point of recent memories. So she had them go over these embarrassing. It was a kind of funny little moment between these two, where he go over embarrassing, Fury go over embarrassing stuff about his life, which is the most that we get from Fury about his upbringing. Because this, you like this moment. I definitely like this moment where you can see like a laid back Nick Fury, where he's cuddling with cats and he's a little bit more jokey, jovial, before life kind of, I won't say life beat him down, but he's kind of crotchety in a way, throughout the most of the MCU that we have known him, where he only let certain people in only so far, and he is very shut off, aside from a few people. So it kind of reminds me of the last Men in Black film with Agent K and J, where Agent J travels back in time and meets Agent K's younger self, played by Josh Brolin, who is also Thanos, where they have a nice little moment where Jay tells young K, is like, hey, it's like, you barely opened up to me, like we barely talk, and you pretty much like, never want to like, share anything. And Kay was like, okay, like I'm not like that now, so whatever you want to ask me. Because he jokes, he's like not, I don't want to say, bitter, but he's not old and crotchety and stuff like that. Because when you get older, things, you get, I don't want to say cynical, but it's like you get set in your ways. You only let certain people in. You don't share all that much. But like he's in his younger years, and it's like, hey, okay, I'm here now. Ask him whatever you want to ask me. He jokes and everything like that. So it's kind of like that with Fury here, where it's like, if you get any of the current Avengers looking at him now, they'll be like, like, yeah, I'll have a beer with this Nick Fury, as opposed to older Nick Fury, who like, it's like your crotchety old dad. It's like, it's not as fun. So they end up because turns out that they're looking for this doctor who turns out to have created a device for interspace, interstellar travel, and that's what she believes that the Skrulls are after, whoever she was working on. So they go to this Air Force base black site where they meet with some people, and they realize, okay, this is like, kind of shady, because they holding us here for having us waiting way too long than necessary. So they go looking around the records office and realize, okay, clearly this is why they wasn't too forthcoming, because all the stuff that happened around this time with this doctor has been, classified. Around like 1989, there was the doctor supposedly died during this crash along with this unknown pilot, and turns out it was Carol who realized, oh, I had a life here, I was an Earthling, which kind of should have been like a tip off, given the fact that Krees are blue skinned people while you are a pinkish white hue. And it's like you're an outsider, essentially, and that should have been a tip off. I mean, it's kind of like, like a white family adopting a black kid, and when they were a baby and they grow up, and it's like, you don't realize at some point your skin isn't the same way as you. Not that would, if it was like a right family, none of that will be an issue, but the fact that it's going to get brought up and you have to address it, I'm just shocked that it's like, maybe I'm an Earthling. So now her world is rocked at this point, and she doesn't know what the heck is going on. But she realized the one person that might have answers is this Maria Rambeau, who lives in Louisiana. So after, Talos, because Fury kind of paged, because there was pagers around this time, he paged his boss, who turns out to be Talos, not realizing until Talos kind of let it slip about like, because there's a nice little moment between Carol and Fury, which nice moment where you see what comes next, mark of a great storytelling, as Carol asks, like, because Fury mentions that everybody calls him Fury. It's like, so if you have kids, like, what are they gonna call you? Fury. What does your mom call you? Fury. What you call her? Fury. So it's like, nobody calls me Nick, Nicholas, or Nikki or anything like that. It's just Fury. Or Nicholas, not Joe, not Joseph, just Fury. So the fact that you hear just, Talos playing, imitating his boss, goes like, we'll be right on this, Nicholas. And And it's like, no, he picked up on it really quick. He sends him off on a wild goose chase on a different level, while he goes on a right level and try to find Carol. And you see this little fight scene between Talos and Fury, and it's like Fury gets ass beat because Skrulls are stronger than humans. Not like, Hulk like strength or anything like that, but definitely like definitely enough strength to toss a full-grown man around. But Carol saves them. They get on board this experimental aircraft, making an escape to Louisiana. And that's where like Monica and Maria get a shock to see Carol, who's been missing for like 6 years, and they clarify that you went with the doctor. It was, as she put it, was some kind of matter of life and death kind of situation. And I'm glad they kind of pointed out the fact that around the 80s and way past that, in the past, women weren't allowed to fly aircrafts, which was a thing. On the movie set, they actually had the first female air pilot as a consultant about this meet up with like the stars and everything like that. Retired Air Force General Officer Janine Marie Laviette. So it was a nice little moment for the actors, I'm sure, to give some authenticity to the historical facts of the matter about females in the military. I also brought something like that up during the 4th of July month about when I was reviewing G.I. Jane, about like females in the military and everything like that, and historical situations behind that story. So Talos eventually shows up, and he says like, I don't want to fight, I just needed you to leave me where I need to be, but I got information for you. And he plays this it's kind of funny because it's 90s and they loading this audio to the computer, which is taking a moment to load, because I gotta give me flashbacks to certain computers back in the day. But it plays this audio about what happened where the doctor and Carol was in this experimental aircraft being powered by this energy core, which comes from the Tesseract, which was fished out of the water by Howard Stark not too long after Steve fell into the ocean, because that was the only thing that was recovered after they couldn't find Steve. So they had it stored away, where this Dr. Lawson, who we realize now was an alien named Mar-Vell, which, by the way, in the comics, Mar-Vell was a man. This is kind of gender swap kind of thing. Not a huge deal. Character isn't that long, in the film to most people to care about, but it is a thing. Mar-Vell was an iconic superhero in the 80s, going by Captain Mar-Vell, who was the predecessor to Carol Danvers' Captain Marvel. And he has these nega band things that gives him his power. He unfortunately passed away due to cancer, so in the comics, which very rarely we see him pop up in years' time, but it's usually either by time travel or a slight resurrection through some artificial means. But it always goes back to, him being dead. It's kind of like a whole Ben, uh, uh, this whole Uncle Ben thing, where it's like, he doesn't stay alive for long. He's probably usually very on like a rare occasions where shit goes completely out of whack for Peter, where he needs that one guy in life, that one person he listened to, like in Spectacular Spider-Man with the whole symbiote situation, where Uncle Ben's the only person that still was like Spider-Man's moral center kind of situation. So once they crash, after realizing, oh, it's these Kree, because Mar-Vell defected from the Kree, realizing, okay, this whole senseless war with the Skrulls has gone completely out of whack, and it's like an unjust war, because realizing his people are the oppressors, and so he decided to or she decided to help the Skrulls, because a cool twist, and not many people pointed out it being cool, but the fact that throughout, because we're so used to in the comics the Skrull and the Kree being bad guys, there's no much gray area with that. But here they do like a flip, where it's like the Skrulls are just innocent refugees that was forced into like a fight with the Kree because they didn't bend the knee to them, unlike most other sectors the Kree gets involved with, which is kind of surprising given the fact that the Nova Corps are kind of like their universal police agency. They don't keep that kind of crap in check when one part of the population of the galaxy is trying to oppress other parts. They don't think they nip that in the bud. Very weird. But anyway, so it turns out Yon-Rogg and the sniper lady in his crew, because she made a mention about being on Earth one time. It was a mud hole, and I want to take a moment here. I'm kind of sick of. There's two things here. It's kind of overdone. I kind of get sick of in terms of when you're dealing with aliens. One, like, oh, I've been to planet, what a shithole. It's like just like a big mud ball with like so underdeveloped species, and they barely cracked like interstellar travel. Like, what idiots that gets so freaking annoying when dealing with like other alien species and giving crap to Earthlings. Like, I know it's the writing, but it's like it's so kind of overdone. Same way with we dealing with supernatural, like heaven and hell, and they comment about, oh, the human race, oh, these these monkeys are still like squabbling over dirt rock and blah blah blah, and they don't know any better and blah blah blah. And it's like, oh my god, it's so freaking overdone. Like, offers some kind of nuance, like oh well, they're not as advanced, but they offer some type of they ask, because humanity got, we're very good at adapting, and we're very creative when we need to be. So it's like, at least throw that in, like, yeah, they may not be as intelligent as we are, but hell, you can't knock their creativity or something like that. Throw one of these writings, throw humanity a freaking bone. But it turns out Rogg was responsible of assassinating Mar-Vell and tries to steal the power core, now realizing it's just a piece of the energy, wasn't the Tesseract itself. But upon being extracted by Mar-Vell, Carol takes her blaster and shoots the engine, and all that stored energy flies into Carol, which gives her awesome powers. It's very similar to what we see in Avengers 2, where the Reality Stone, I'm pretty sure it was the Reality Stone, was its energy properties. Some of it got into Scarlet Witch, which at that time we couldn't use the word mutant. We can now, but kind of enhanced or unlocked her mutant gene, which be able to tap into chaos magic, or just magic in general, but start off with chaos magic, which is reality warping, which ties into the reality stone. So which gives these two like the only two people that, if they wanted to, one-on-one can really take on somebody like Thanos. Because the stones are universal level powerhouses. I'm shocked that nobody in the Marvel Comics ever utilizes, gimmick, whereas like, oh, somebody spent too much time with the Soul Stone and some of its energy properties got into that, and you got a new character with these universal level power that can hang with somebody like Carol or Scarlet Witch. So I'm just saying, could have done something with that. Anyway, so now you get this awesome moment between Carol and Maria, where Carol is this, and this is the main scene that people complain about with Brie Larson, like, oh my gosh, she's not emoting, she's so stone phased and blah blah blah. And it's like, she's through 6 years of because she had amnesia, and she's lived for 6 years believing she was Kree, and as a soldier of the Kree Empire was instructed about controlling her emotions. So she's now like, feel like she can just be allowed to just, but still also like, I gotta remember my training. And she's, struggling with that internally, like trying to remember her training, but now, her delusions being kind of broken. She's seeing like, oh, the people who I thought were my enemy are not really my enemy, while the people who I thought were my allies are not really my allies. So my head is spinning. So my oldest friend, who I'm just reconnecting with, have to like, let me know who I am, because I don't know who I am, but she reminds me of who I am. And so that was an awesome moment in my opinion. And people, you can all have your opinions. You may not have to like the scene or the character. You might feel like, oh, she's like as wooden as as like a oak tree. But I like to see certain nuances of that. So sometimes I can tend to agree, and sometimes I can see other layers beyond that. So they realized the coordinates of Lawson's or Mar-Vell's laboratory isn't on Earth, is in orbit in this camouflage ship that belonged to her. Even though after all these years, I'm surprised that no satellite or any debris or anything like that hit this thing or alerted nobody. It's kind of weird, but they took the experimental ship, the Flarkin, which turns out to be an alien cat. Don't know how they made to Earth, but whatever. Fury, Carol, Maria, and Talos goes on the ship and to go on Lawson's ship, which they find a Tesseract along with all these other Skrull refugees, including Talos's wife and daughter, which we see the daughter at older in Secret Invasion, played by the Queen of Dragons herself. But after Rog eventually shows up on Earth, realizing, oh, she's not here on Earth anymore. She realized she got her memories back. Now I gotta deal with that. So they followed her on their ship, lock up the Skrulls and the two humans, and put Carol through the little mechanism to connect to the Supreme Intelligence, which you get a nice little Kurt Cobain little moment where which I still remember from the trailer for the Netflix Defender show. Even though the show wasn't good, it was an awesome trailer, and the song kind of helped. And I just every time I hear it, I can't help but think about that and this scene. But the Supreme Intelligence, points out like, yeah, we not only been like lying to you this whole time, but we was trying to control you thanks to this kind of inhibitor chip that's stuck on her neck, which I don't know why they never, she never questioned it or tucking it off or whatever. But it's never been brought up. But it's something that kept her powers in check because they actually feared her, and so they took measures to try to keep her controlled. And you see certain flashbacks of Carol's life where in today's day and age that could have been like done very heavy-handedly, but I think this is a nice level of your girl power moment where it's like, yeah, there's been plenty of times when girls felt held back, pushed to the ground, told them that they're not good enough or whatever like that, whereas Carol's father or the other army brats during boot camp, all these other moments where it's like people to stay on the ground, stay down, you're not good enough, you're not this or that and the other. And that's a mark of a great hero's journey. And it, done right, it doesn't matter if the gender, if done right, it works. I made like a whole discussion video about the hero's journey, but for how it's on my YouTube channel, but how it's done right for female characters and how it was done wrong for certain female characters. And here, the main component, in my opinion, the main thing is that they, just like the men, the female have to fall. That's why when they get back up, it means that much more. They're not perfect, fragile little angels, okay? They curse, they swear, they drink, they falter, they struggle. So when they overcome their issues, it means so much more. That's the whole point of growth. And say what you will about how the characters wooden kind of bland acting is. I really like this moment where it's like it's like every anime ever that you ever watch. It's like using that willpower and strength, the inner strength. Is like, I'm not going to let these people control me. I'm not going to let them lie to me anymore. I'm my own person, and it's not cheesy with it, in my opinion. And so she just taps into her Super Saiyanness, breaks that the inhibitor thing, and she just turns Super Saiyan and starts kicking all kinds of ass, which also affects the power in the ship, which releases the scrolls. And they get back Fury and the others, and the cat eats the Tesseract, all that stuff, while Carol's taking on everybody. While they're making an escape, Carol has a moment where she's flying out into space, but she learns how to fly, and she's and you see even like Maria's getting her moment where she's flying this ship and she's doing all these like barrel rolls and all these little tricks in the air and taking out a Kree and her ship. And Carol knocks that Rog's little escape pod down, so he hits terra firma. But this is like when Ronan the Accuser shows up, because Rog calls him earlier, and he's sending a bunch of missiles trying to annihilate the planet. She shows up and just like takes out all those missiles and a bunch of these drones and everything like that. And so she just like do this little flex of her power, just to get like Ronan to uh bitch out, back into space. So she flies back down, confronts Rog, and it's a freaking hilarious moment with Jude Law where he literally has his gun pointed at her, and he just holsters it like, I'm so damn proud of you. God, I did not see that coming. It's always making me laugh. But he just, but it's like, you're not ready until you can prove to me that you can take me on in a fight, no powers, let's go. And she just blasts him against the rock face, and it's like, I have nothing to prove to you. But it's like, yeah, it's like most other movies would have her like power down and do this little, choreographed fight and blah, 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 which in most cases is a fun moment. But here, it's kind of circumventing. It's like, no, it's like, I don't have to do that. It's just like, I know who I am. I don't need to prove myself to you. It's a sign of maturity. So she tosses him in the escape pod and sends the coordinates back to Hala to tell the Supreme Intelligence that, to like leave the scrolls alone. I'm, kind of like stay away. And if get off base, I will come after you. That kind of thing. It's like, it's like, they're under my protection kind of situation. So now, after all that is said and done, Carol announces that she's gonna help find the scrolls a new homeworld since the Kree kind of took over theirs. So she hands Fury a pager, a modified pager, saying like, only call me when you really, really need me. And some people always complain about, at that time definitely was complaining about like, so it wasn't an emergency where Loki was sending the Chitauri to attack New York City. And it's like, kind of no. It wasn't like, you look back on it, no, it wasn't big enough threat that warranted her to show up. Given the fact that this also inspires Fury to seek out other, unique individuals to protect Earth, because after meeting with somebody like Carol and being like a Air Force pilot, her call sign was Avenger, which inspired the name the Avengers Initiative. Where it's like, it's like there's got to be other people like here, that's on Earth that can protect it, because Carol can't be here and she's always on the other side of the galaxy. I need to find other individuals. So it was like a cool moment. It's like, yeah, this is like a smart play. And of course, like, which I agree is still kind of stupid, where like Fury loses his eye because, as he said in the Winter Soldier movie, oh, I lost it when I, once trusted a friend and the friend like betrayed me. And it turns out to be this cat who he was befriending this whole doggone time, and it kind of scratched him because it's a cat and cats get kind of twitchy sometimes. So he kept that to himself because only him, Maria, and Carol, Maria, Talos, and it was somebody else. Carol, Maria, Talos. Yeah, I guess it's just those three actually know exactly what happened to his eye. And he kept, because it sounds so stupid if he would have admitted to Coulson, because it's also embarrassing that, oh, I was befriending a cat, not realizing it because of my stupid human ass. Then I realized it was like a dangerous alien and it scratched my eye. So I'm not telling that story. Fair enough. The moment's still kind of stupid. So the movie ends. Of course, you get the whole post-credit thing or mid-credit thing where Carol shows up to the Avengers mansion asking where's Fury after the whole dusting occurred, because Fury pays there just in time. It's like, it's so, I guess he always had that pager in like a secret compartment, always in his vehicle nearby, just in case. But it's like, you know, how do you know she wasn't also the one that got dusted while you paging? I guess he was hoping for all hope, I guess, but I don't know. You took a huge gamble because it's very random. You don't know who got dusted or not. It's like, like I said, it's like you took a gamble on that, paid off, but it was also one to see her just shows up to save Tony in space. But you know, we'll get to that in the future. But yeah, that was Captain Marvel. I dig it. It's like, you know, as you know, there are like, you know, legit gripes, like the whole cat scratched eye thing, and like the, you know, de-aging of the face isn't the problem, but the fact that, you know, it's still 70-year-old Sam Jackson moving around is kind of like a little bit distracting. And the way it ties into Secret Invasion in a way, the fact that I talked to my friend a week ago about this, because, you know, it's kind of still kind of dumb. The fact that this was like 1995 when she left off to try to find the Skrulls a new homeworld. Now, granted, it's billions of light years and, you know, a big galaxy here. 1995. Fast forward to like 2023. You had this whole entire time, and you have like, you know, communications with Carol Danvers, and eventually you learn about the Guardians of the Galaxy. You mean to tell me that at no point in time, I'll give you maybe the first 5 years and you seem like you might have had to given up or anything like that, but it's like eventually you would have came across an uninhabited, hospitable planet to put these Skrulls onto. I cannot believe that. Which adds to, because I already did a spoiler review on Secret Invasion. Now, like Secret Invasion and Thor: Love and Thunder, it's probably the well, Thor: Love and Thunder, there's moments I still enjoyed, but that's the first time I actually understand the dip in quality that people felt like that much earlier than I did, because I can make an argument about the other stuff that came before it. But that was the first time I actually see like the certain dip in the quality, and then I really felt it in Secret Invasion. And it's so dumb that because they try to retroactively make Skrulls bad guys again, and sure, it might be fringe group of bad guy Skrulls, but it's so dumb the fact that the Guardian, like Nick, the Guardians, and Carol Danvers, all a combination in which at no point in these like 30-year span, at some point you could not find a planet that's you could put the Skrulls on. That is so far-fetched to me. Very weird. But that's more of a con on the TV show, not this movie. But anyway, but they kind of set it up in this movie. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think of Captain Marvel 2018 after all these years. You're looking back on it, you know, do you still feel the same way as you did back then, or do you have some more of a understanding now while things kind of marinated and we have like other stuff that kind of like, you know, help facilitate the likability of the character, the movie, and possibly the actress. But yeah, I will see you guys in like 5 minutes where I do a spoiler review of the Kamala Khan Ms. Marvel origin comic. So I look forward to that in a little bit. And I'll see you all soon. Oh, and I will cover the Marvels movie. I'm going to see it tomorrow. But Saturday is when I'll do the spoiler review of that. So you follow me on Twitch, you'll know when I'm live, so you can chime on your thoughts. Or if you're going to watch it on YouTube later, you can leave a comment then to let me know your thoughts there. But anyway, I will see you guys in a little bit. I also will be getting back into Marvel Spider-Man 2 later on tonight, so I'm gonna get into more Venom stuff. So anyway, I'll see y'all soon. Take care.